main channel video. We're gonna be reacting to while writing an anti-Islam book, he became Muslim. The story of Jordan something something. Anyways, yeah, we can get straight into it. I know I'm gonna sound YouTube, but your boy's back. It's currently Friday right now. But yeah, so you can see it is Friday. So you know what I'm saying. It's the 27th. So I'm about to get straight into this video. It's a like 12-minute video, I think. So I kind of cut down a little bit of it, and I had to cut this up. I'll see you guys in the next shot.
I
Let's go.
decided to write an anti-Islamic book. After high school, I went to a university and I did comparative religion. And the remarkable thing, I think, was that the first day of me going to college was September 11th, 2001. I already thought, okay, these Muslim guys are kind of crazy and this religion isn't the truth. Then a few years later was this guy in the Netherlands called Theo van Gogh. He was a famous filmmaker and he was killed in the street. He was shot and they tried to slit his throat and they put a knife in his stomach with a letter on it for another girl, and it said, "You are next." So it strengthened my anti-Islam feelings in such a way that I thought, well, I have to become politically active to do something and stop this evil of harming our country. You started politics because of Islam, yeah, and that really had to do with Islam. That was the reason that I wanted to write a book to explain to people why Islam was a danger for the world. When I was writing my book, like I said earlier, the questions, the doubts I had about Christianity popped up again, and that was about truth, of course, because I was a believing Christian guy, and yeah, the Christian questions I had,
We're only gonna react to 12 minutes of this.
Islamic way, because of course, when I started writing the book, a lot of people think that it was a political book, but it wasn't so much a political book. It was a religious book because I wanted to show people why Islam was a danger as a religion, and I wrote it from a Christian perspective. So in the beginning, I made a comparison between the Christian concept of God and the Islamic concept. So I started comparing it. But because I had these doubts about the Trinity, and I saw Tawheed, the oneness of God in Islam, I thought, it sounds a little bit more logical. And then I thought to myself, well, I reread the Bible to refresh myself, to see, okay, why isn't the concept of Islam, the Tawheed concept, isn't the Christian concept? But when I was reading the Old Testament and I saw what the Old Testament prophet said was one God, one God, one God. And then I thought, okay, I'll look only at the words of Jesus Christ in the New Testament. And then there's this story in the New Testament that where a guy comes to Jesus and he asks him, what is the most important thing in life? How can I gain paradise?
Yeah, I'm gonna do boomerang. So
he says, "Hear, O Israel, hear your God is one. Treat your neighbor as you want to be treated yourself." So I thought, well, even Jesus Christ says, "Hear, O Israel, your God is one." So I thought, well, this whole Muslim concept of God sounds more logical, and it's the same concept that I find in the Old and the New Testament. And I know Christianity as a religion teaches something else, but it isn't the concept of God that I find in the Bible. So after weeks and weeks of study, reading, rereading all kinds of books, I thought to myself, okay, perhaps this oneness of God is something that is true. So that's how it started.
What resources did you use while doing your research?
Because I was kind of shocked, I started writing to several authorities on these religious matters. And one of the guys that I wrote to was Sheikh Abdul Hakim Murad. He's a professor from Cambridge University. But in a way, it was kind of strange, of course, because I was a politician back then still. I was writing an anti-Islam book with an anti-Islam purpose. And I'm asking a Muslim professor from another country, can you help me?
That's crazy.
So I told him I'm writing a book. I have a lot of questions. So I was very plain. Why is Islam promoting terrorism? Why is it anti-woman? Why is it anti-Christian? Anti-whatever. After, I think, 6 weeks, he sent me a very extensive email. And he started explaining, directly answered a lot of my questions. But he also told me, you have to read this article, read this book, read that book, ask this person. And so he was very extensive in his way of explaining. But in the end, after I read all these books and articles and make a comparison between prophets from the Old Testament with Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, I had no arguments to say they are prophets and he is not. And I thought to myself, well, if I accept Moses on these grounds and I cannot accept a prophet, then there's something else. So I thought, why don't I think he is a prophet? And I thought, oh, perhaps because he had many wives. But then again, when you look at Solomon or you look at King David, Abraham, there are a lot of people in the Old Testament that had more wives. And when you look at even outside of the religious books, in culture, in Europe, in Africa, everywhere, there were men with several wives for several reasons. So I thought to myself, well, that cannot be a reason either. So one by one, all these reasons fell. In the end, I thought, well, I have to say all of them are not prophets, but I didn't believe them because I thought, well, the things they did, they said, the miracles that happened, etc., they were confirmed in what they said.
So he was doubting.
So they are. And then I thought, well, then I have to accept that Prophet Muhammad perhaps is a prophet too. So I was doubting this. So first I thought, well, it's the most evil person I know because of the history. Then I said, well, perhaps it's not that evil, but he's not a prophet. And in the end, I started doubting, perhaps he is a prophet. Yeah, that took, of course, me reading a lot of books again. And the one thing that I think was very wise of Abdul Hakim Murad to say was, he said, well, the books you read about with the anti-Islam arguments are written by non-Muslims. He said, if you want to know more about Christianity, don't read books from atheists. Start reading the books from the Christians. Why do they believe this? What are the arguments? He said, you have to do the same with Islam. So start reading Islamic books from Islamic teachers, from Islamic scholars, etc. And then you can see, if you compare the books on the same topic of people who are Muslim who wrote those books and non-Muslim, you can see where they took the wrong turn, where they translated words in the wrong way, sometimes perhaps even not on purpose, but just because they didn't know, where things are added, where things left out of it. So, and in the end, you see there's this other religion almost created because of all these things. And that's what I did, and that's what I also did with the life of the Prophet, because I read a book from Martin Link's Life of the Prophet based on the earliest source of Muhammad, and it was written, of course, by a convert, and his way of reasoning, his way of telling, his way of writing appealed to me because it's culturally the same thing. How do I approach a certain topic, etc.? And it was the first time that I saw him not so much as a warlord, because that's the picture I had in my mind, but I saw him as a father, and I saw him as a friend and a teacher, and so much more. And so, yeah, I saw the person and his character, and I said, well, I can say a lot, but I cannot say that this is not a good man. So his character persuaded me to read more and to want to know more.
What surprised you the most while doing your research?
What surprised you while doing your research?
There was something that, like a switch, like I had to change. And it was because I thought Hind was the wife of one of the enemies, Abu Sufyan, and in a way it gave money to kill Hamza, the favorite uncle of the Prophet. And that was what happened on the battlefield. He got killed. They even paraded with his ears and cut off his nose and horrible stuff. So the Prophet was deeply sad, of course, with what happened. And years later, he became powerful, came in power in Mecca. And then there was Hind. And I was reading this book and I thought, okay, now she gets crucified or her head gets cut off or something like that. But he said, well, I cannot look at her right now, but everybody is forgiven. And if you want to stay here and live among Muslims, it's possible. If you don't want that, you can go. But bloodshedding is over now. And I thought to myself that she was forgiven. If you can forgive someone who kills a relative, especially a favorite uncle, if you even starts parading with parts of his body to show other people humiliates you and whatever you stand for, that means you have such a great character.
High shelf,
very
the
special.
top shelf,
it's something
not
you
the
don't
low
see,
shelf.
and that's what he did. So I thought to myself, well, he was a really special guy.
Wow.
And when I thought that, I thought, well, I have these arguments for him being a prophet. I see his character. I see the way he treated other people. I see how he treated his enemies. I think he is a prophet. But then I thought to myself, whoa, that's horrible, because I already accepted this oneness of God, and now I say he is a prophet. If I say there is only one God and Muhammad is his prophet, it's almost shahada. So I thought to myself, okay, let's close the books, stop. This is going in the wrong direction. And of course, I wasn't that anti-Islamic book because of what I read, what I saw, and what I experienced. But I tell you now, it sounds a little like a fairy tale, but it really happened. In the end, there were old books anyway. When I had this feeling of, yeah, okay, this is shahada. I thought, well, I put all the books away and put the books on a high shelf. But there were so many books that a lot of books fell off the shelf. And one of the books that fell off the shelf was the Quran. And when I picked it up, my hand was on a page with Surah 22, Ayah 46. And it says, it's not the eyes that are blind, but the heart. And I thought to myself, that really is my problem, because it wasn't the eyes. I really could see what I read.
What was the reaction of people around when he became Muslim?
You have to write this or that. I started writing myself, and I could see it with my own eyes, but I still couldn't accept the fact that I said he is a prophet. There is this one God. I just couldn't. So it wasn't my eyes that was blind. It wasn't really my heart. I couldn't accept it. I think my nafs or my nefs or whatever, my ego, I couldn't accept it. And I said, well, God, I don't care if it's the God of the Bible or the Quran Quran, give me a sign or something so that I 100% sure know this is the way. And I went to bed, but when I woke up, I felt very secure in myself. I really feel very secure. I've never been more secure about anything else. The whole anxiety or the whole doubting issue, it disappeared like snow for the sun. I thought to myself, well, I think I'm a Muslim. Well, and then of course I had to tell other people.
What was the reaction of the people around you when you became Muslim? What was the reaction of the people around you when you became Muslim?
Most of them were very negative, of course. For a lot of people, especially some uncles and aunts, it was kind of a shock. They heard it when it was on the news. I told my mother, and my mother started crying. And my wife was pretty open. Yeah, she was very cool about it. She said, well, if Islam is what you really believe and that's in your heart, who am I? And yeah, some people from my old work were really aggressive. I got over 2,000 death threats from people who used to support me, of course. People who voted for me, people who said that I was horrible things, who will rape your wife.
We're only gonna do 2 more minutes and then we're gonna cut out the video here.
Most of them, of course, are just nonsense because they're crazy people writing things on the computer. So it was kind of a hectic time. And I have to tell my work, of course, it was this Christian organization. So to say that the leader of the pack, he said, and he said, well, I noticed this change when you talked about
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos here. We're gonna be coming back along with more bangers. So yeah, see this 10 to 5. That is 10 to 5. 10 a.m. or 5 p.m. So put on your notification job. I'll see you guys with another